All right, we continue now with our coverage on the KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's explosive claims of political interference in high-profile cases. The ANC has assured South Africans that President Cyril Ramaphosa is giving the allegations the attention they deserve. Let's speak now to author and security expert Brad Steyn, who joins us now for more on this, particularly the crime-fighting efforts. Mr. Steyn, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time. Let me start with the President, who says tonight that this matter he is taking with the seriousness it deserves and therefore will attend to it the minute he comes back home. And we know President Ramaphosa is a process person. How long can he put this off for, do you think?
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for having me on. Good evening to the viewers. This has to be dealt with within the next 48 hours. This is of the utmost importance. It just shows that these allegations from the general are deeply troubling, and they highlight just how far SAPS has fallen under the weight of political capture.
From an institutional integrity standpoint, how far-reaching are these allegations, and what do they tell us about leadership at the South African Police Service management level?
Well, from an institutional integrity standpoint, these claims expose an organization, rather, that is crippled by corruption and interference, and by political elites. But you know, this has gone back quite a way. You know, we saw something very similar you know, in Sitole's administration when he was the National Police Commissioner. So this is nothing new, you know. People like Jeremy Vieri, who was the National Police, I beg your pardon, the Western Cape head of detectives, who whistle blew about corruption. Andre Lincoln's done the same thing, and the problem is that these things, you know, unfortunately, very often go through these process of hearings, and nothing ultimately ends up happening.
Yeah, I'm glad you make the point that this is nothing new, and I want to take this now and place it at oversight bodies, or let me say the body that watches over the police conduct. It's the Independent Police Investigative Directorate. And I want to ask you whether they should have had a role here to play in sort of preventing this by doing their job. And the reason I'm identifying them specifically is that at some point earlier this year, that body came out and said a complaint had been lodged with the body to investigate the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and that complaint had come from the Police Minister, Senzo Mchunu. Then a few days later, they come out to say, actually, we made an error. The complaint was not from the Police Minister. It was, in fact, from an ordinary civilian whose name cannot be revealed. Some people are going to say perhaps this would have been the genesis of this. I'm giving this context so that you could tell us whether a body like IPIT, what role should it play? Should they have had a role to play here? And given the fact that they are still investigating Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi.
Well, I'm glad you bring this up. Today, on a rainy day here in Cape Town, Myself and many other citizens and members of the press went to the security cluster's portfolio press conference, and Mr. Cameron brought up that very thing about IPID and that role, and he said that IPID is having an immense amount of pushback and trouble doing their work and investigating their work because of political interference. So, there's a massive breakdown here across the various departments within the security cluster. We can even go as far as talking about, the National Security Office being in the office of the president at his beck and call and whim, when these institutions that protect us, national security institutions, should be apolitically run and not have any political interference whatsoever. But, we've had this from the days of Jackie Salebe. We've had this, I'm just talking broad strokes now within the security structures, Arthur Fraser and Msholozi under Jacob Zuma. There's been a variety of nefarious characters. And I have to just also remind the people out there who this general is, this brave general in KZN. He's not just a general that is a political appointee. He's a task force member. He's a highly decorated law enforcement official, and he's frustrated. He's really frustrated. So you know what I said in Parliament today? My question was, how are we going to protect brave people like this that want to stand up?
And I wonder what the response was from committee members. What did they say?
Well, Mr. Cameron said, unfortunately, this just goes with the territory and the job of being in a high-profile position like that. There aren't much protections. I know General Mkhwanazi can take very, very good care of himself. And us in the private security sector are incredibly happy that we have patriots like him involved and that's fighting for everyday citizens, because at the end of the day, our crime intelligence is broken. This is a major situation in South Africa that we face today. And it can be fixed, but we need the right leadership. And unfortunately, I think that's in the distance, because President Ramaphosa is doing too little, too late, as usual, and he hasn't got the robust leadership from a national security point of view to deal with this issue.
You talk about General Mkhwanazi as a brave general, and there are those, if you listen to Paul O'Sullivan, you listen to Mary DeHaas down in KZN, and these are security experts, people that come onto the media and are interviewed based on their expertise in this space. And they seem to view him as something of a villain. Who should the public listen to, or what should the general view of General Mkhwanazi be, particularly after he's done what he has done?
I have nothing but the utmost respect for Paul O'Sullivan and what he does in his private capacity in bringing criminals to justice. But I have to disagree with him that General Mkhwanazi has every right to wear that camouflage task force police uniform. And it might seem aggressive, it might seem as a political posturing or whatever the optics might be. But at the end of the day, when somebody in that position with that much experience in bringing criminals to justice has the guts to stand up and say that, you know, the Minister of Police had him and another general in an office and tried to get them to talk and try and figure things out. You know, and he said, a policeman can't be friends or do business or be in a relationship with a criminal. You know, those are some loaded words. So he's definitely got enough to back himself up. Otherwise, he's not going to go and do something like this. This man is highly respected. And, you know, I just hope us as South Africans are able to protect these whistleblowers, because history has shown that we can't even protect our whistleblowers. And I'm hoping, I really hope that the president really takes a leadership role here and shows this country that he takes national security seriously.
Final question, and very briefly, if you can, Brad. You mentioned the police minister, and that's the other important figure we haven't spoken about here. If the allegations against him are proven true, because one thing that he has not addressed, and it keeps coming back, is his alleged relationship with this Brown Mokgotsi, and then the tenderpreneur who has been getting police contracts. If allegations are proven true against the police minister, what will that tell us about South African police and the potential capture of this institution or manipulation for whatever nefarious ends?
Zoli, I'm afraid to say that, you know, this institution has been infiltrated by organized crime syndicates and people like this nefarious character since the Jackie Selebe days. And you know what? There are great police officers out there that risk their lives and put their lives in danger for us. But, you know, there are those too, you know, people that have gone into crime intelligence like Peter Jacobs and try to clean things up. And, you know, these guys get railroaded constantly.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that the portfolio committee, and I said this to Mr. Cameron today, that the portfolio committee can actually hold, in Parliament and the National Security Cluster can actually hold President Ramaphosa accountable for these failures within our overall national security cluster over the last 2 years. It's longer than that. It's a serious issue, but we can fix it. They are the right people, you know. You can bring people like Jeremy Vieri back that did the same thing, that spoke out about corruption, and they fired him and got rid of him.
Yeah.
They are brilliant police officers that they made an announcement, come back, putting announcements out there that they want warrant officers and senior police to come back and help bolster SAPs and crime fighting capabilities. But these people aren't being called back. Administratively, things are a mess. And you know, the good thing is that we've got guys like Ian Cameron that are in place, and good folks that are patriots in this country that are sick and tired of this, you know. We got to stand up for our country and protect our citizens.
Yeah. Brad Steyn, I can't agree with you more on that final statement. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Certainly one of the most explosive. I've never personally seen a police officer at that level do what General Mkhwanazi has done. We'll see what the days to come are going to tell us. Brad Steyn is the author and a security expert.